My neighbor called the cops on my wife because she carried boxes into our own house. Sounds ridiculous, right? But here's the image burned into my memory, the exact second a deputy sheriff snapped into a salute for my wife. The HOA president's face drained of all color like she'd just heard her own death sentence. And that was before anyone realized those boxes held the very evidence that would end her entire empire of lies. When Sophia and I first moved into Willow Creek, it felt like we'd hit the jackpot. Clean streets, kids riding bikes, neighbors waving from their porches. We'd been there maybe 3 weeks, still unpacking, still learning who was who. I thought the HOA here was tame compared to the horror stories you read online. Big mistake. That Saturday morning, I was sipping coffee on the porch while Sophia hauled in her third box of work files VA death benefit claims. She processes those cases for veterans' families. That's when the scream/shout exploded across the lawn. Those are classified military files. You have no right to those. I nearly dropped my mug. Charging toward us like a missile was Leah Gray, the HOA president, late 40s, hair pulled too tight, eyes blazing with paranoia. She was pointing at Sophia's boxes like they were nuclear weapons. "I'm calling the FBI right now. This is a federal crime in progress." The neighborhood froze. Mrs. Peterson stopped watering her roses. Kids ditched their basketball mid-dribble. Curtains twitched up and down the block. Sophia didn't even flinch. Calm as ever, she said, "Ma'am, I'm authorized to review these. I work for the VA. These are routine death benefit files." Leah wasn't hearing it. She started pacing, muttering about government overreach, eyes darting to the labels on the boxes. And then I caught it pure desperation hidden under fake authority. I've worked insurance claims for over a decade, and my gut screamed, this wasn't outrage, this was fear. The crowd grew. People pulled out their phones. And right when I thought it couldn't get more absurd, Harold Dawson arrived. He's our HOA treasurer, but also a reserve deputy sheriff. Calm, steady, military posture. You could feel the respect in the air when he spoke. "Leah, what's going on here?" she stammered about unauthorized files, federal protocols. Sophia calmly showed her credentials. That's when Leah's face went ghost white at the mention of death benefit claims. Her hands shook and she backed up like Sophia had drawn a gun. Harold clocked it instantly. Neighbors started whispering. This wasn't normal HOA behavior. Leah fled to her house, but not before shooting one last terrified glance at those boxes. That night, Sophia mentioned one of her new cases. A soldier named Diego Morgan died in a training accident 3 years ago. Widow collected insurance suspiciously fast. My ears perked up when she said the last name Morgan, because Leah Gray used to be Leah Morgan. My wife had just been randomly assigned the exact case that could expose our HOA president's darkest secret. Over the next week, our quiet neighborhood turned into a pressure cooker. Harold spread HOA financial records across my kitchen table, shaking his head. "These invoices are complete bullshit," he muttered. "Inflated landscaping contracts all approved solely by Leah starting exactly 3 years ago. Around the same time, her husband died. It lined up too perfectly." Meanwhile, Sophia pieced together Diego's file. Therapy, progress mysteriously erased falsified letters saying he'd refused treatment. The story was rotting from the inside out. And Leah, she doubled down. $400 in HOA violation notices showed up in our mailbox within a week. Aesthetic violations. Parking citations, even a fine because Sophia's government-issued car wasn't in compliance. She targeted others too, Harold for his flag, Mrs. Peterson for flowers by her mailbox. It was like she was trying to silence the entire block through intimidation. I'll admit there was a moment I almost gave up. One night, buried under those violation letters, I turned to Sophia and said, "Maybe we should just keep our heads down. Maybe it's not worth fighting her. The fear, the stress, it was eating at me. What if she destroyed our reputation before we'd even settled in? What if neighbors really believed her?" For the first time, I doubted myself. But Sophia looked at me steady, unshaken. "This isn't about us anymore. It's about Diego. About the families she's stealing from. If we walk away, she wins. That was the turning point. I couldn't sit there letting this woman weaponize her authority while a veteran's memory was being trashed. That's when fight replaced fear. Leah made her biggest mistake soon after she called 911 again, claimed Sophia was impersonating a federal employee. Harold responded in uniform. He went through the motions, asked for ID. Sophia handed over her VA credentials, her military discharge papers. Harold studied them, then snap. He stood to full attention and delivered a crisp salute. "Major Bowman, ma'am." The silence that followed was electric. Neighbors stopped breathing. Phones recorded every second. And Leah, she looked like a ghost. Mouth open, eyes wide, completely mute. The HOA president who screamed about federal crimes had just outed herself as a liar in front of everyone. Harold warned her calmly about filing false police reports, his tone sharp enough to cut stone. Leah stumbled away, but her power was gone. From that moment, the tide shifted. Word spread like wildfire. The video of Harold saluting Sophia hit neighborhood chats within hours. The narrative was clear. Respected military officer versus paranoid HOA president. And people started digging. Maria Diego's sister came forward with letters proving he'd been improving before his death. Federal agencies got involved. Leah's paranoia spiraled. And then came the night everything collapsed. It was 2:30 a.m. when my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I figured raccoon until I checked the feed. A shadow crouched by our back door, crowbar in hand. My blood froze. It was Leah. Hair, wild clothes, wrinkled eyes frantic. She was trying to break in to steal files from our home office. I shook Sophia awake, dialed 911, but Harold was already racing over. The floodlights blasted the yard, catching her mid-pry. Leah dropped the crowbar and stepped away. Harold barked. She babbled about retrieving stolen property, about conspiracies against her. None of it mattered. She was arrested on the spot, caught with burglary tools and stolen military files in her car, but even then, she clung to the delusion she could wriggle out. That's when Sophia and Harold set the trap. We spread the rumor the investigation was being dropped. All Leah had to do was sign some closure paperwork, and she'd get a final HOA paycheck, $3,000. She showed up at the bank parking lot looking jittery but hopeful, convinced she was about to outsmart everyone. Sophia handed her the forms. Leah signed every page without reading confessions dressed as routine documents. Harold brought HOA forms, 2 more handwriting samples, and then Sophia dropped the hammer. It's always tragic when a veteran takes his own life. At least Diego's case can close cleanly now. Leah froze mid-signature, her face drained of color. She realized Sophia knew the truth. That's when the federal agents closed in. "Mrs. Gray, you're under arrest for insurance fraud, mail fraud, falsification of federal documents, and conspiracy to defraud." Leah shrieked about entrapment, about conspiracies. But it was over. She looked down at the papers in her hands and finally saw the headers: confession of insurance fraud, voluntary admission of document falsification. Maria was there too. She stepped forward, trembling with rage and grief. "You destroyed his therapy records, didn't you? You couldn't stand that he was getting better." And in a moment of complete breakdown, Leah screamed the words that sealed her fate. "He was going to leave me. He was getting stronger and didn't need me anymore. I deserved that money more than he deserved a second chance." Neighbors gasped. Agents recorded every word. The HOA president who tried to control everything, who weaponized authority, who lived off the death of her husband and the pockets of her community, was exposed, stripped of power, and led away in handcuffs. And me, I stood there watching the woman who'd made our lives hell finally crumble, knowing she'd done it all to herself. Some people destroy themselves the moment they try to bury the truth, because the truth always finds its way back to the surface.